Close your eyes and imagine a time long ago, a time when dark forests held ancient secrets, and the flickering candle in a poor man's house was all that stood between hope and despair. This is the story of Hansel and Gretel, two brave children whose courage shone brighter than any lantern. Once upon a time, in a small village on the edge of a vast, shadowy forest, there lived a humble woodcutter with his two children, Hansel and Gretel. Their mother had died when they were little, and their father, though kind, had married a cruel woman with a heart as cold as winter. Each day, the family struggled to find enough food. The cupboards were almost empty, and the stepmother's anger grew with every hunger pang. One bitterly cold morning, she whispered her wicked plan, to take the children deep into the forest and leave them there to perish. Hansel, who was clever and loved his sister more than anything in the world, overheard her terrible words. That night, while the moon watched from high above, he slipped outside and filled his pockets with small, smooth white pebbles that glimmered like tiny stars. Into the woods. At dawn, the stepmother led them away, pretending it was only a walk to gather firewood. As they walked deeper and deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller, their branches twisting like bony fingers. Hansel secretly dropped a pebble every few steps, leaving a shimmering trail behind them. When the sun sank and the cold began to bite, the children were left alone. But under the pale moonlight, the pebbles shone, guiding them safely back to their father's house. The second betrayal. The stepmother was furious. Days later, she tried again. This time, Hansel could find no stones, and so he used breadcrumbs instead. But as they stumbled through the trees, crows and sparrows swooped down, snatching every crumb. When the children turned back, the trail was gone. Darkness fell around them, thick and heavy, and the forest seemed alive with whispers. The house of sweets. They wandered for hours, hungry and shivering. Then, through a gap in the trees, they saw a glower little house, sparkling under the dawn light. As they crept closer, their eyes widened. The walls were made of sugar and cake, the roof of glazed candies, and the windows glistened with clear sugar glass. Unable to resist, Hansel broke off a piece of chocolate from the wall, and Gretel nibbled at a sugar window. For a moment, they forgot their fear and hunger. The witch appeared suddenly, the door creaked open, and an old woman emerged. Her eyes glowed red in the shadows, and her voice was as sweet as honey but as false as her smile. She invited them in, promising warm beds and good food. Exhausted, they followed her, but as soon as they crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut. The witch cackled and clapped her gnarled hands. She grabbed Hansel and locked him inside a small iron cage. She told Gretel that she must cook and clean until her brother was fat enough to eat. The days of captivity. Days turned into weeks. Every morning, the witch would creep over to the cage, poking Hansel's finger to feel if he had grown plump. But Hansel was clever. He held out a little bone so she would think he was still thin. The witch grew impatient, and her temper flared like fire. The escape. One dreadful morning, she announced it was time to bake. She ordered Gretel to open the oven and check if it was hot enough. But Gretel, her heart thumping, pretended not to understand. "Stupid girl!" the witch screeched. She bent over to show Gretel how to crawl inside, and in that moment, Gretel gathered every ounce of her courage. With a mighty shove, she pushed the witch headfirst into the oven and slammed the heavy door shut. The witch shrieked and wailed until there was only silence. The treasure and returned trembling. Gretel unlocked Hansel's cage. They searched the witch's house and discovered chests filled with gold, coins, pearls, and jewels. They stuffed their pockets and fled the cottage. Following the path, they walked for many days, until, at last, they saw the smoke rising from their father's chimney. He ran to meet them, tears streaming down his face. The wicked stepmother had vanished, and the house was filled with warmth again. From that day on, Hansel and Gretel lived safely, their hearts forever brave. But deep in the ancient forest, the candy house still stands waiting for the next traveler to lose their way. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch more magical tailies on our channel.